These are the stories topping the news. The Honorable Patrice Nisbet is to address the 69th session of the UN General Assembly. Jamaica denies rumors of a suspected case of Ebola virus, and Japan volcano shoots rock and ash on Mount Ontake. Good afternoon. Welcome to ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Today is Monday, September 29th, 2014. I'm Ebony Brandon. Now we take a look at these news developments in detail. St. Kitts and Nevis's Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Patrice Nisbet, will address the 69th session of the United Nations General Assembly today. It will be his first address to the United Nations since his appointment as Foreign Minister following a cabinet reshuffle nearly 2 years ago. Mr. Nisbet makes history by being the first Nevisian cabinet minister to be appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs in the federal government of St. Kitts and Nevis. He's also the first Nevisian to address the United Nations General Assembly since the Twin Island Federation became an independent nation in 1983. The 69th session opened on 16th September 2014. Local students attending university in Taiwan have been joining the celebrations of the 31st anniversary of independence. Our correspondent Roland Henry has the report.
20 Kittitians and Nevisians joined the Independence Luncheon organized by the St. Kitts Nevis Embassy in Taiwan. Ambassador Huggins gave a toast to continued progress and success.
Toast to the continued progress of our federation, to your success, and to all of your families who I am sure will see you at this time. To our federation and to all of you. Cheers. Cheers.
Students showed appreciation for the opportunity to fellowship and celebrate with their countrymen.
Happy 31st Independence, St. Kitts and Nevis. We're new students here, but it's always good to share part of our culture here with our fellows.
Happy Independence to St. Kitts and Nevis, 31 years of progress. And I'm so happy that I am able to be far away from home, but still celebrate with the guys. Happy Independence.
The celebration was held at the Regent Hotel in Taipei, Taiwan. Happy Independence, St. Kitts Nevis. ZIZ correspondent from Taipei, Taiwan. I am Rolentia Henry.
Two Jamaican companies, Sterling Investments Limited (SIL) and Surrey Paving, have invested in a 226-unit Pelican Bay Limited below Potato Bay in Frigate Bay. Sterling Investments Limited has disclosed it has invested 7.5% of its growing private equity portfolio in a condominium development in St. Kitts that targets subscribers to St. Kitts and Nevis's Citizenship by Investment program. The company has purchased preference shares in Pelican Bay Limited, on which it earns 8% per year. PBL is the main investor in the condominium complex. The Citizenship program requires foreigners to invest capital of $400,000 to qualify. Jamaican construction company Surrey Paving is the contractor on the project as well as an investor in PBL. In regional developments this hour, Jamaican health authorities are denying rumors of a suspected case of the deadly Ebola virus on the island. Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Kevin Harvey, said no suspected case of the disease is being investigated. The rumors started when a doctor who recently returned to the island from Trinidad and Tobago was admitted to the University Hospital of the West Indies, UHWI, with a reported case of bleeding. Dr. Harvey said the 65-year-old senior physician has fully recovered and there is no consideration of a diagnosis of Ebola. At the time that the doctor was admitted to UHWI, an Ebola planning meeting and training for medical officers was underway at the facility, and this, Dr. Harvey surmised, may have led to the rumors. The acting permanent secretary is reminding Jamaicans to avoid non-essential travel to countries where the virus has been confirmed. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force and the Forensic Lab are collaborating with the Ministry of Health in building health workers' capacity to respond to cases of sexual assault. The first in a series of training modules for doctors and nurses got underway last week. We hear more in this report.
Officials say it is important that victims of abuse are afforded the best care possible, using evidence-based research and securing a chain of custody of evidence for prosecution. A workshop for doctors and nurses was held this week in a bid to equip the healthcare providers with the knowledge and skills that are necessary for the management of victims of sexual abuse. District Medical Officer for District 3, Dr. Aaron Ajuda, says this type of instruction is necessary as it sets standards for the provision of both healthcare and forensic services to victims of sexual abuse.
From my experience, it's not, strange to have cases of persons who have been sexually abused. And when we say sexual abuse, we're talking about carnal knowledge. We're speaking about persons who find themselves involved in any sexual activity, they're forced to do it, or there is no consent. There is a procedure when a patient comes in, and we have to be able to know, what is the next step that we take. Whether we call the police, inform the police comes in, and then, there comes the examination, how the examination is done, what it entails, and all these details, which are very important, because then we will have to give evidence in court.
Scenes of Crime Officer Corporal Bastian says health workers are essential in collecting and documenting the evidence needed for confirming the circumstances of an assault. Such evidence is often crucial to the prosecution of cases of sexual violence.
We're trying to bring them up to speed as to how best to collect, how best to treat persons who have gone through this trauma, and most importantly, the collection of forensic evidence, so that we could try to determine who the perpetrator was.
The initial phase of government's conditional cash transfer system, a prepaid debit card, is said to be implemented by the end of November in the Bahamas. The new debit card will replace food coupon systems to assist needy families. Social Services and Community Development Minister Melanie Griffin believes it will weed out those who abuse the system and also impact educational and health problems among the poor. We hear more in this report.
Have coming up at the end of November a pilot program that we believe will assist us in being able to monitor and provide more efficiently the assistance to our people, and that is where we will be introducing the prepaid card for persons who will be receiving assistance instead of the food coupon. But I can tell you, you're with us today in our new building, new office space, where we're able to have the office for the Social Safety Net program in place, all the staff coming into place. So we're operating on all cylinders, trying to get it up and running.
Minister Griffin says the conditional cash transfer system will also help buffer any impact of the value-added tax among the poor.
We are working very diligently on the implementation. We know that we are being depended on to really buffer programs like that. And so we are working very diligently to have it in place sometime next year.
In international developments, rescue teams in Japan have resumed their search for survivors of a volcanic eruption in Japan on Saturday. At least 31 people are believed to have died when Mount Ontake shot plumes of rocks and ashes into the air. Hundreds of hikers were on the volcano at the time of the eruption, but most walked down to safety while others were trapped. Rupert Winfield Hayes has the details.
This is the moment a sunny Saturday morning on Mount Ontake suddenly turned deadly. The huge cloud of ash spewing from the mountain caught on camera by a Japanese documentary team. Further up the mountain, this hiker caught the full horror as it unfolded on his phone camera. This is really dangerous, he says. This is really bad. He scrambles downwards, hoping to get to a shelter. But in seconds, the ash cloud is over him. You can hear the tiny bits of rock raining down. It's little wonder many survivors say they were convinced they were going to die. It was terrifying, this man says. The rock was falling like hailstones. We covered our faces with anything we could find, but we still couldn't breathe or even open our eyes. Meanwhile, on top of the mountain, these screams are from a group trapped inside a hut. Ash billows outside the window. You can hear the thump of rocks falling on the roof. Morning revealed the extent of the destruction. The top of the mountain turned to a moonscape, buildings covered in a thick layer of ash. As rescuers finally arrived, they found at least 30 people lay dead in the ash field. The military managed to take some survivors off by helicopter. Others were carried on stretchers. This evening, Mount Ontake is continuing to pour ash and steam into the sky. The question now is, why was there no warning? Rupert Wingfield-Hayes, BBC News, in Tokyo.
A man has beheaded one woman and wounded another after being fired from his job, police have said. The 30-year-old Alton Nolan attacked the two women at the Vaughn Foods distribution plant, Moore, Oklahoma. A manager who is also a reserve police officer stopped the attack by shooting and injuring Nolan. A police spokesman said the FBI was investigating Mr. Nolan's background after colleagues said he had recently tried to convert them to Islam. We hear more in this report.
We were called whenever the first initial call was more of an out-of-control employee, but while on the phone, it escalated very quickly into stabbing and then shots fired. The shots had been fired before officers arrived. After conducting interviews with co-workers of Nolan, information was obtained that he recently started trying to convert some of his co-workers to the Muslim religion. Due to the manner of death and initial statements of co-workers and other initial information that our investigators have gathered, we requested the assistance of the FBI in conducting a background investigation into Nolan. It should be noted this off-duty deputy definitely saved Tracy's life. This was not going to stop if he didn't stop it. So, I mean, we are looking at him. He's obviously a hero in this situation. It's very tragic that someone did lose their life, but it could have gotten a lot worse. This guy definitely was not going to stop. He didn't stop until he was shot.
Now for a look at the weather today, we'll experience lots of sunshine with winds blowing from the east-southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Temperatures will reach a high of 30 degrees with an evening low of 26 degrees. This evening, skies will be partly cloudy with winds blowing from the east-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us at 6:30 p.m. on 96.1 FM, ZIZ Radio, and right here on Channel 5 at 7 p.m. for these stories and more in detail. I'm Ebony Brandon. Have a lovely afternoon.